Have you ever listened to Prince, Lil Wayne, or Elton John? Have you ever read some of Socrates' theories? Watched Cameron Boyce dance or act? Or looked at Michelangelo's art? Well, all of these people, as well as I, have something in common. We all suffer from a medical condition called epilepsy. Today we will go over the history behind epilepsy, the different types of seizures people can have, and how you can help. Let's jump right into the history. Now, for those of you who don't already know, according to the CDC, epilepsy is a broad term used for a brain disorder that causes seizures. Seizures are attacks on the brain, which affect your brain waves. How they're able to detect whether you're having a seizure or not is by putting you through a procedure called an EEG, which stands for electroencephalogram. During this procedure, they stick electrodes to your scalp to measure the brain waves. The night before, you are only allowed to sleep 4 to 5 hours, depending on your age, and you are not allowed to have any caffeine. They do this to allow you to sleep during the procedure to see if you have seizures while you're sleeping. The next thing that they do is have you blow on a piece of paper, just like you would blow up a balloon. This is to detect whether or not you're triggered by hyperventilating. And lastly, they flash lights in your eyes at different rates while your eyes are closed to see if flashing lights can be one of your triggers. According to Epilepsy Society, Greek philosopher Hippocrates was the first to discover that epilepsy was a brain disorder, which might come as a shocker to you because you might think that it's always been a brain disorder, which is not true. People used to believe that if you had a seizure, it was a supernatural presence, mostly demonic, while others believed that they were messages from gods. Today in America, there are 3.4 million people who suffer from epilepsy. Now let's hop right into the different types of seizures that you can have. The two main groups are primary generalized and partial or focalized. These different types, primary generalized is when the seizure affects your entire brain, while focal or partial only affects a small part of your brain. According to Cleveland Clinic, Generalized has 6 different types of seizures. There are generalized tonic-clonic, also known as grand mal, myonic, tonic, and clonic. All 4 of these result in the violent convulsing of the body. Atonic is where your muscles tense up, and absent is where you have a brief moment where you become unconscious. Mainly like staring off into space. This is the type of seizures that I have. For partial, there is simple partial, complex partial, and partial that involves into a generalized seizure. Now let's slide into how you are able to help. There are many different types of scents that can trigger a seizure. Many of these scents are scents that you would love to use, like lavender, sage, eucalyptus, or fennel. These scents, though they are very pleasing to you, can be life-threatening for some of us. Another way you can help is bring awareness. During the month of November, wear the color purple to represent epilepsy awareness. And if you hear jokes about seizures, please let people know it's not funny. It can be life-changing and life-ending for some. Now, if you're ever in the middle of a moment that somebody has a typical seizure that you would see, there are many ways you can help. According to Better Health Channel, the first action you should take is stay calm. If you panic, others will panic. Next, move any hard objects away from the patient. It can cause much harm to them if they hit one of these objects. And remove any tight clothing that might restrict their airway. The next thing you should do is turn them on their side to make sure that they do not choke on their tongue. Do not stick anything in their mouth. You may have been told to. It is not appropriate. They can choke on the object you're sticking in their mouth, or if the object is hard enough, break their teeth on the object and choke on their broken tooth parts. The next thing is put something soft under their head. Whether you have a pillow or just their hands, it can prevent them from hitting their head and causing further brain damage. Time the seizure if you can. Make sure that you know how long the seizure has lasted for when you call paramedics. The next thing to do is call paramedics. Make sure that if you have somebody in the room, you have them call. But if you are alone, time the seizure first. The patient is your top priority. And if the seizure lasts longer than 5 minutes, that is when you should call the paramedics. Reassure the patient until they're awake. This helps them stay calm, especially when they wake up. Today we have gone over the history of epilepsy, the different types of seizures that people have, and how you are able to help. Next time you're listening to Prince or Elton John, you can now understand the struggles they went through with this medical condition. Be sure to stay aware and help when you can. Thank you.